Alright. So welcome on back, guys. Let's talk Algebra 1, okay? So this is going to be a review for test number 4. And today we're going to be a little bit more zoomed in than normal because I'm going to be using pens as opposed to markers, as you guys are pretty used to it. Even my Sharpies have dried out, so this is what happens when you write a lot. So let's talk about test 4 and everything that's going to be on test 4. Okay. There are only a couple of topics this time around. We're going to be. Don't forget, you do need to know how to graph a line. So if you're not comfortable graphing a line, you may want to go back a section or two. That was tested on the last test, but like I said before, all of our math techniques kind of blend into one. There's no such thing as a math technique that I've taught you that you can just get rid of. Let's go ahead and talk about slope-intercept form, because that was the first format that we talked about, slope-intercept form. Okay? Let's see, where's my... And remember, slope-intercept form gives you a slope and a y-intercept. It looks like the following, and you will have to have this memorized for the test. mx plus b, just like that. Okay? So in this particular formula, you have to remember that there are two really important things. Your m stands for slope, and your b stands for y-intercept. Alright, there are going to be a couple of types of problems that you get for slope and y-intercept problems. The first kind of problem that I'm definitely going to give you is I'm going to give you a simple, and this is going to be a few of them. This is the same thing that you guys had on your quizzes, which are already in your grade book. For anybody who got a 9.5, I did mention this in class, but I know not everyone was there. Anybody who got a 9.5, you probably made the same mistake every single time. Like included in negative or included x's where you're supposed to write something else or something like that. But yes, so I did grade that one pretty easily. On this test, keep in mind, when you write your slope, it should just be a number. When you write your y-intercept, it should just be a number. So your slope should not be 3x, it should just be 3. Let's go ahead and go over that again. So given a simple equation, let's go with y equals negative 4x plus 1/2. Okay? What you have to remember is that the slope is always that number that's right next to the x, okay? So your slope here would be negative 4. Remember, you do have to include the sign. You do not include the x. It's just the number next to the x, okay? And then your y-intercept is the number that's at the end of your equation. Given this, you can answer the question because your instructions will be like, identify the slope and y-intercept of the given equation or the given line. So you'll go, okay, well, slope is negative 4, and then y-intercept, I should have done that in red, but that's okay. Y-intercept would be positive 1/2. That's it. That's all you're doing. So remember, slope is the number that's right before x, and y-intercept is the number at the end here. For all of these problems on your test, I am going to take off full points if you screw this up, because all you're doing is identifying one or the other. Okay, you will not earn half credit for this one. So again, that's how you handle this one. You will get a different type of problem though, so it's going to go one step harder, and it's going to look like this. So it's going to be one step harder. You're going to get 4x plus y is equal to 1/2. Okay? These are actually very similar, and here's the thing that differs. You notice that you have 4x plus y over here, and over here you only have y on the left side of these equations. So clearly this left side is different from that left side. All you have to do with this, every time you see it to where there's something and then y is over here, you need to get the y all alone. I need this to be y equals some stuff. So I need to move this over here. The way to move that 4x is that we would just subtract 4x from both sides. At this point, 4x minus 4x cancels out. You've just got y on the left side. And then over here, you've got a 1/2 and a negative 4x. You can actually write these in whichever order you want. So let me go and write them both ways. I'll write them in red and blue. You could write this as y equals 1/2 minus 4x. But I don't recommend it because if you write it like this, you'll notice it's not in that format. You'll notice that the x comes second, whereas in the original equation up here, okay, the x came first, but here you have x coming second. So I don't recommend that you write it in this order. I recommend that you write your negative 4x first. So I would write it, we'll do this in red. I would write it like this. Y is equal to, instead of 1/2 minus 4x, I would write negative 4x and then plus 1/2. And you'll notice that this brings us right back to our original equation. So you know that your slope is still going to be negative 4, your y-intercept is still 1/2. So these two are the same problem, and you could end up with either one on the test, okay? It'll either give it to you in y equals mx plus b form, or it will not, and you have to figure out how to put it in that format. On your test, there are a handful of these that you need to do, okay? Remember again, don't forget your signs. Those are important. And then remember again, do not include x in your slope, all right? That was one thing that a lot of you guys did on your quiz. Okay. Cool. So that's slope-intercept form, how to identify slope and y-intercept. Let's go one more type of problem. All right. You are going to get the kinds of problems that look like that over here on the right, and you're just going to be asked to put them into slope-intercept form. So your instructions will be change to slope-intercept. And on the test, I'll have that written out, so it'll say slope intercept form on the test. I'm very explicit about it, so you're fine. I'm just going to shorten it here for purposes of my handwriting. Next, you're going to get problems like this. So it'll look like y minus 3x equals 8. Something like that. There we go. And what you have to be able to remember here is that, again, I need to get my y all alone. That's it. So every one of these is just a basic equation where you're solving for y. Make y all alone. So you'll notice that y has a minus 3x next to it. We can't have that. That's not alone. So let's go ahead and move it over here. How do we move it? You have to do a mathematic operation. So what's the opposite of minus 3x? Hopefully you should remember that's going to be plus 3x. So we're going to do that to both sides. Okay. Negative 3x plus 3x. So negative 3 plus 3 cancels out. And you'll end up with just y equals 3x plus 8. And after you get y alone, so as soon as you get this to say y equals, and then you have the rest of your problem, you're done. That's it. So y equals a bunch of stuff, and you're all set. And you just end that problem. You're going to get a few of these on the test as, oops, sorry. You are going to get a few of those on the test as well. Okay? So those are the two types of problems that we're going to have for slope intercept. All right. Oh, I'm so sorry. There's one more type of problem. There are three types of problems for this. I forgot about this last type of problem. This one I actually only have one on the test right now, but I think I might actually put one or two more of these on the test just to round it out. So this type of problem, again, it's going to tell you to write the equation of a line given the following. Okay, so the equation of a line given the following. And then it'll have, number 1 or number 8, I think it is on the test, something like that. So it'll give you a problem, and it'll say this. Your slope is, I don't know, 5 is a good number. And your y-intercept is going to be 34. I don't know. It'll be whichever numbers. Sorry about that. There we go. So slope and y-intercept, it'll give you that. And then you have to be like, okay, well, I know that the base equation is this. And I also know that that is my slope and that is my y-intercept. So since they gave you both of these things, you're just going to plug them in here. You're going to go y is equal to, and instead of m, okay, you're going to write the real slope. So instead of m, you're going to write the number here, 5x plus, and then instead of b, you're going to write your y-intercept 34. In the book, they would have given it to you like this, so 0, 34. I'm going to write it like this. Like on the test right now, I have it written as just a number. I do not have it written as a point. This is also correct though. You should be comfortable with both forms. But on the test, I will only be testing this one, even though it can easily show up as this one. On the midterm, I'll likely make it as either one, just to get you guys used to it. Okay? So that is how to do all of slope-intercept problems on your test. Hopefully that feels good. Everyone did pretty well on this quiz. Everyone seemed like they were doing pretty well with this. I think the one thing that most of you guys have to work on is the solving for y part. So having it not y equals and then turning it into y equals. This is a basic equation. We've been doing this for almost 6 weeks. So you should be able to solve for an equation. You should be able to practice this. If you have not practiced this, keep in mind there are plenty of practice problems if you just go to page 109 and do 21 through 38. Those are exactly the types of problems that you will get on the test. All right? So let's go ahead and move on. There is one more section that I was able to cover during my time with you guys, and that is that point slope form. So point slope form, we'll do this in black. This was the other thing that you had to be able to do, and you'll have to memorize this formula. So y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Alright, so those are the two main formulas that you need to memorize. These are the two new ones from this testing period. However, there is one more formula that we're going to use in a second. You're going to get two types of problems for point slope form. Okay, two types of problems. I'm actually going to put them on the same page, and we'll do one on the left, one on the right. Okay, so two types of problems you're going to get for point slope form. The first type of problem, so example 1, you'll get a problem where it tells you, okay, so given the following information, again, write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. It'll be pretty much the same directions, but I'll tell you that your slope is 2, and your, you have a point. It's not your y-intercept, it's just a random point, and I'm going to say 0, 1. And that's just the information I'm going to give you. However, I could also give you this question. I'll give you the slope, and I will only give you 2 points. That's the other type of question. So point, and I'm going to tell you it's 0, 1, and another point, and I'm going to tell you it's 3, negative 4. The difference between these two problems is that one gives you a slope and a point, one just gives you 2 points. You solve them both. This one just takes one extra step. So let's go ahead and do the easy one first. Point slope form is pretty easy. Okay, so y1 and x1 are just the coordinates, so these two. Okay, so y1 and x1 are the coordinates of your point. So if we take a look at this point down here, if y1 and x1 are just the coordinates, remember that your coordinates are always given to you as x, y. Alright, and there's only one point, so they're obviously both x1 and y1. So x comes first, y comes second. It's just your alphabet. So if you remember your alphabet, you should know which order they go in. X comes first, y comes second. And then slope, remember in our slope-intercept form, we memorize that slope is the same as m. So we use the letter m to represent slope. Okay? I know that's annoying and a little bit weird, but you guys should be used to it by now. We've done it a lot. So m is going to take the place of slope. From here, we're just going to plug these all into this original equation. So you're going to write y, you're going to write minus, but you're not going to write y1. Instead of y1, you're going to tell me whichever one of these 3 numbers was y1, which in this case is just that 1 right there. So y minus, again, 1 is equal to m. So instead of m, you're going to write your slope. So we'll write 2 times x minus, and then x1. And again, we have an x1. You wrote it as 0, so this would be x minus 0. Again, you don't have to work this out on your test, but I'm going to go ahead and write it all out. From here, let's go ahead and simplify. So y minus 1 is equal to 2 times x minus 0 is just x, because if you take away 0 from anything, nothing happens. So it stays the same. Like 5 minus 0 is 5, 3 minus 0 is 3, so x minus 0 is still x. Let's go ahead and move on from here. Again, you have to solve and figure out how to get y alone. All you do to get y alone is add that 1 to both sides. Okay? And you'll get y, because these will cancel. and then 2 times x is just 2x, and then tag that plus 1 right at the end there. And you're done. Alright. Over here, we're going to use a very similar process, so I'm going to do the second half of this a little bit quicker, but remember, we're not given a slope, so the one weird part is that if we were setting up this problem, we wouldn't have anywhere to put m. What you have to remember is that slope formula looks like this. So slope formula, I'm going to go ahead and write it on a separate sheet of paper. Slope formula is y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Okay? So given our problem, 0.01 and 0.3 4, negative 4, you have to remember that you name one of them. Let's call this 0.1. Let's name this 0.2. Just because. You could have flipped these. If you called that one 0.2 and that one 0.1, it'd be perfectly fine. It all works out the same, so it really doesn't matter. But since I called this one 0.1, this must be x1, y1. Since I called this one 0.2, this must be x2, y2. Remember, again, alphabetical order. X comes before y. And then let's just go ahead and plug them into the equation that we just wrote. This is kind of a review. If you take a look at your last test review, we covered slope formula in there, so you can do this in more detail. I'm going to do this one kind of quickly. So, not all of your, whenever you take a class in high school or college, not every single question, every single thing will be reviewed. So if you have to go back and reference old videos, feel free to do that. So y2 minus y1, so negative 4 minus 1 all over 3 minus 0, and you're going to get negative 5 over 3 is your m. So that's your slope. So instead of 0.1, 0.2, I could just call this m equals negative 5 over 3. From here, we're going to plug them all into this equation again. Again, you start with y minus, and then y1. So y1 in this case is going to be 1. And so equals, instead of m, you're going to write your new m that you figured it out, negative 5 over 3, times x minus, and then x1 was just 0. So I'm going to skip this step because x minus 0 is just x, so it doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and multiply that times that, and you're just going to end up here. Oh my gosh. Y minus 1 is equal to negative 5/3 x. And again, we had to get y alone. So let's go ahead and add 1 to both sides. You get y is equal to negative 5/3 x plus 1. Okay, so the steps are pretty much the same. In this one, replace all the letters, or replace all of the knowns. So you know your slope, you know your point, so x1, y1. Leave the regular y, the regular x, and then solve for y. Okay, over here, your steps are pretty much the same as well, except you're going to add one step. Find your slope using slope formula. Okay, so find your slope using slope formula. That covers the 2 types of problems on point slope form. Alright. So there are 3 types of problems with with slope intercept, and then 2 types of problem with point slope form. And the last type of problem that you're going to get on your test is that on any of these. So whether or not I give you this, whether or not I give you this, or I give you one of these types of problems, no matter which one it is, any one of them can say graph next to it, in which case you have to remember how to graph a graph. Alright, if you have trouble graphing graphs, let's go ahead and go to our last video. So remember your last test review. But again, this is all covered. This is all material that you've already done, you've already been tested on. So if you need to review, go back one video and take a look at how to graph things again. Okay? Best of luck on the test on Monday, guys. Make sure that you're studying. Thank you so much. You guys did a good job on Friday? Today? Well, yesterday, I guess. Well, no, it's still Friday right now. So yes, you guys did a good job on Friday. It seemed like you were paying attention. For those of you that weren't here, this is a good way to review. Make sure to prepare, and best of luck. I will talk to you guys as soon as possible. Have a good weekend, guys. Bye.